For more on the fight against ISIL, I'm joined from Pakistan by Kamran Bokhari. He's an advisor on Middle Eastern affairs at a geopolitical intelligence firm and a scholar and author on political Islam. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Jordan says its warplanes have carried out their first airstrikes on Islamic State targets since the militants released that video showing the killing of the captured Jordanian pilot. How much fury can they inflict, and what type of difference can it make?
Well, I mean, obviously there's outrage in Jordan, in the region, in the entire world over this. But the fact of the matter is that you need more than outrage to be able to successfully fight against ISIS. And that's where, air power alone is only going to make a limited difference. There's a need to take the battle onto the ground. That's where we run into a dilemma. The United States and its international partners are not willing to do that. They're trying to rely on local assets, opposing militias that are opposed to ISIS, and those are not reliable forces. So it's a really frustrating situation.
Well, taking the battle on the ground, do you think that these episodes, seeing a man beheaded, another man burned to death, is that likely to change the equation at all, or does it make them even more resistant to do that sort of thing?
I think definitely it puts pressure on the regional governments, especially in those countries that have a border with Syria and are actively involved, to do more. The question again is, what does it mean to do more? How can you translate anger and anguish and frustration into actionable work that will make a difference and weaken and hopefully destroy ISIL?
What's needed in that regard? I mean, obviously, the United States and the coalition hoping that the forces on the ground in Iraq and Syria can make a difference, but they don't appear to be doing so.
This is, improving relations between the Kurdish regional government and the central Iraqi government, and then both working with the Sunni community within that country to isolate ISIL and hopefully, drive it out of Iraq. In Syria, in sharp contrast, we have a situation where the disagreement is over. We have a war in Syria because people want to topple the regime there, and there is a disagreement between the various parties. So Iran, Russia, Hezbollah, and the Assad regime are on one side, and then everybody, and those who oppose the Assad regime are also fighting with each other. So it's a very difficult geopolitical situation on the ground.
Can you talk to me about the coalition? Because I know the United Arab Emirates, they've kind of pulled back from airstrikes. There was some complaints here in Washington from one of the senators here saying that, Jordan's a tiny nation. They're running a lot more sorties than the other coalition partners in the region. Can you talk about the coalition and what needs to be done to bolster that?
I mean, we have a number of regional players that are either part of the coalition in some shape or form or are not part of the coalition. And so what we had in the lead up to this very tragic incident of the burning of the Jordanian pilot was that we had Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, along with the United States and its Western and European allies, basically carrying out sorties, carrying out airstrike missions. And now, we've seen that there's only so much damage that you can do from the air, even if you have a very large coalition. There was criticism that in many ways, the regional players like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and UAE were doing symbolic bombing raids, and the heavy lifting was done by United States and its NATO allies, those who are part of the coalition. And then there's Turkey. Turkey has a very different view of it. It's apprehensive about what is being done. It doesn't want to be the only one taking action, and it knows that it is the big power, and it doesn't want to be used in a way that is detrimental to its national security.
Kamran Bokhari joining us from Islamabad. Thanks so much.